Perimenopause is not a gentle transition. It is a clandestine revolution occurring deep within the physiology of a woman in her 40s or early 50s. The ovaries begin to retire earlier than expected, estrogen and progesterone levels fluctuate unpredictably, and virtually every system in the body receives a memo it never asked for. What follows is a constellation of symptoms that can feel surreal, isolating, and occasionally comical in their timing. Below is a deciphered guide to the most common, yet least discussed, signals your body sends during this decade-long renovation. The rogue thermostat. Vasomotor instability, more poetically known as hot flashes and night sweats, strikes 75 to 85% of women with the casual cruelty of a prankster god. Deep in the hypothalamus, the brain's ancient thermostat short circuits. Estrogen's steady whisper fades, norepinephrine screams. A body temperature that was perfectly fine seconds ago is suddenly branded intolerable. The alarm is instantaneous and totalitarian. Peripheral blood vessels fling themselves open like saloon doors in a brawl. Blood surges to the skin in a molten rush. Chest, neck, and face flare scarlet. Skin temperature leaps up to 7 degrees Celsius in minutes. The heart hammers as if you spotted an X across the room. Sweat erupts, not gentle perspiration, but a tropical deluge that soaks cotton to the bone. One moment you're calmly stirring soup, the next you're standing inside a pizza oven while someone fans the coals. Colleagues stare as you peel off layers in December. At 3 a.m., you wake marooned in a puddle, sheets welded to your skin, convinced the mattress is possessed. 10 minutes later, the fire dies as suddenly as it began, leaving you shivering, betrayed, reaching for the duvet you just kicked to Narnia. The hypothalamus smacks and resets the trap for next time. The emotional pendulum. Fluctuating estrogen yanks the strings of serotonin, dopamine, and GABA like a drunk puppeteer. The same hormone that once kept the mind on an even keel now sloshes high, then crashes low, dragging mood behind it. 1 hour, you're weeping over a life insurance commercial. The next, you're ready to flip the dinner table because someone breathed too loudly. Irritability sharpens to a scalpel. The cat's meow is sabotage. The slow barista is a personal assassination. Tears arrive uninvited, rage detonates without fuse, and guilt follows both like a shadow. You are not crazy. You are simply hostage to a neurochemical tide that forgets the shore exists. Cognitive eclipse. Estrogen supports verbal memory, processing speed, and executive function with the quiet efficiency of a lifelong librarian. When the supply collapses, the lights dim. Words you've owned since childhood suddenly play hide and seek on the tip of your tongue. Names evaporate mid-sentence. You walk into rooms and stand trial for trespassing in your own house. Car keys surface in the refrigerator like smug archaeological finds. Neuroimaging lights up the struggle. The prefrontal cortex flickers, the hippocampus sulks, connections misfire in slow motion. It feels like your brain is buffering on 240p forever. Thoughts arrive late, wrapped in cotton. Yet nothing is broken. The hardware is simply renovating itself without asking permission, rewiring synapses while you wait, impatient and half-dressed in yesterday's vocabulary.
Metabolic sabotage. Declining estrogen reduces insulin sensitivity and alters fat distribution. Adipose tissue, once content to curve politely around hips and thighs, stages a quiet rebellion and marches northward. What was once a pear becomes an apple, softer, rounder, suddenly centered over the waistband like a life preserver you never asked for. Basal metabolic rate, that silent engine, downshifts without notice. 50 to 100 calories fewer per day with each passing decade after 40. The body, reading the hormonal memo that reproduction is winding down, panics in evolutionary slow motion. It hoards, it conserves. Every skipped workout, every second helping of pasta is filed away as abdominal fat with the grim efficiency of a survivalist stocking a bunker for an apocalypse that never quite arrives. Genitourinary transformation. Vaginal and vulvar tissues lose collagen and vascularity with the quiet cruelty of a tide retreating forever. The plush, elastic lining that once welcomed touch thins to parchment. Tiny blood vessels fade like old ink. Lubrication, once effortless, now arrives late or not at all. Elasticity vanishes. What stretched now tears. The pH, once gently acidic and hostile to intruders, drifts toward neutrality, rolling out the red carpet for yeast and bacteria that throw parties at your expense. Sexual intimacy can turn from pleasure to ordeal, burning, stabbing, a raw ache that lingers for days. Yet women whisper this grief only to mirrors or midnight search bars, too embarrassed, too dismissed, too convinced it's just part of aging to bring it to the one person who could help. The silence is almost as painful as the symptom itself. The external reorganization. Hair follicles miniaturize, nail matrix weakens, and dermal collagen production declines by approximately 2% per year post-menopause, a quiet, relentless tax levied in silence. Skin loses hyaluronic acid and ceramides. Moisturizers are absorbed yet never quite sufficient, like pouring water into a sieve made of memory. The mirror begins reflecting a timeline you did not authorize. The once plump cheek now slides southward, as though gravity has finally read the fine print. Forehead lines deepen into parentheses around a story you're still writing. Neck skin gathers into soft pleats that catch shadows the way silk catches light. Beautiful and unforgiving. Hands, those traitorous autobiographers, sprout ridges and age spots that arrive overnight like uninvited guests who refuse to leave. You catch strangers' eyes flicking to them when you reach for change, and you understand, with sudden clarity, that your body has begun testifying without your consent. The flesh is no longer a residence. It is a document slowly yellowing at the edges.
Sensory surprises. Formication, the sensation of insects crawling under the skin, palpitations, paresthesias, and electric shock sensations are neurological responses to rapidly falling estrogen. One moment, you are buttering toast. The next, phantom ants march across your scalp. Ants with icy feet. Spiders knitting lace along your spine. Your heart stumbles, skips, then gallops like it's late for an appointment it never agreed to. Fingers buzz as if plugged into a faulty socket. A sudden zapping jolt shoots from breastbone to fingertip, a rogue lightning strike inside the wiring of you. Tinnitus arrives as a private orchestra of crickets in a tin box behind your eyes. Vertigo tilts the kitchen floor into a funhouse mirror. Eyes that once watered at weddings now stare, gritty and unblinking, into the cruel light of morning. These phenomena sound invented by a particularly sadistic novelist. They are not. They are simply the body's hysterical poetry when the hormone that once kept the peace packs its bags and slams the door. The traitors you once trusted. Alcohol, once a pleasant accomplice, now betrays with a single sip. Red wine's histamines and sulfites ignite a migraine or send blood roaring to the face in a mortifying flush. Coffee, formerly a reliable morning ally, triggers palpitations that flutter like trapped birds behind the ribs. Aged cheese, chocolate, citrus, even a whiff of perfume can flip the switch. The body, stripped of estrogen's calming hand on the vascular brakes, overreacts with theatrical fury. Meanwhile, the gut, laced with estrogen receptors from esophagus to colon, stages its own quiet rebellion. Bloating arrives uninvited, bowels swing between stubborn lethargy and urgent revolt, and foods tolerated for decades suddenly provoke war. Everything swells, gurgles, or cramps, as if the entire digestive tract is collectively shrugging, "We were never told the manager was leaving." The uninvited guests. Migraines, once occasional guests, now move in permanently with baggage. Auras bloom like malevolent stained glass. Light fractures into knives. Sound becomes shrapnel. Joints that once glided now grind, estrogen's quiet lubrication withdrawn overnight. Fingers stiffen in the morning like rusted hinges. Knees protest stairs with hot, sulky aches previously reserved for grandmothers. Sleep, that former reliable lover, turns fickle. You fall into bed exhausted, only to be yanked awake every 90 minutes by the brain's new hobby, rewriting the night. Deep sleep shrinks to a rumor. REM scatters into anxious confetti. Dawn finds you hollow-eyed, as though someone has been mining your skull for ore while you pretended to rest. Daytime arrives already bruised. The larger narrative. Perimenopause is not merely the cessation of menstruation. It is a profound neuroendocrine transition rivaling puberty in magnitude. Every organ system, cardiovascular, skeletal, neurological, immune, undergoes reprogramming. These changes are not defects. They are adaptations to a new life stage.
Reframing the journey. Consider the caterpillar. It does not mourn the loss of crawling. It dissolves entirely within the chrysalis and trusts the process that produces wings. Perimenopause is your chrysalis. The discomfort, the uncertainty, the occasional absurdity, these are the dissolution phase before emergence. Listen carefully to the language your body now speaks. Document patterns. Advocate for evidence-based interventions, lifestyle modulation, hormone therapy when appropriate, targeted supplementation, and assemble a knowledgeable medical team. The symptoms are messengers, not punishments. You are not diminishing, you are becoming. The woman emerging on the other side of this transformation carries the accumulated wisdom of decades, a metabolism that demands respect rather than indulgence, and, if she chooses to claim it, an unapologetic magnificence that younger versions of herself could only imagine. She is waiting for you, and she is extraordinary.